It's a great pleasure to welcome Bonga Gumede, who's the executive for retail GTM at Altron Digital Business. And what a wonderful opportunity it is to speak to you, Bonga, because you've been in the business for a long time. You bring a wealth of experience in strategic growth solutions to the African retail landscape, and your background says it all. You know, a solid technology-driven background, with a record of leveraging digital tools to enhance retail operations, customer engagement, profitability, etc., etc. That's what it's all about today. You've got to apply that digitization into every sphere of business, and retail is no stranger to this. And we know what a difference it makes to retail sales. So a warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us for this episode of What's Next, Bonga.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for the opportunity to join you and have this conversation. Also, a good day to the listeners that will be listening to this podcast. It is indeed an honor, having listened to some of your previous podcasts, to be in such company. And of course, I look forward to the conversation because, I do get the sense that you speak to many esteemed colleagues and professionals in our space that share many interesting things around technology and what's happening. So you are certainly also knowledgeable yourself from the exposure
Thank you.
and
I
the
appreciate
discussions
it.
you previously had.
Well, it's discussions with people like you that make me knowledgeable and get a great sense of what's happening in the market. But Altron recently launched a guide entitled Future Ready Retail, Embracing Key Tech Trends. And one of the key findings of this particular report was that, and I couldn't believe this number, 73% of South African businesses see edge computing as crucial for digital transformation. Can you please unpack the value that these businesses see in edge computing for us, please?
Yeah, great, Aki. And I think, probably a good place to start and other to learn this is to probably explain the term edge computing so it can be understood by the person in the street. Edge computing brings computation and data storage a lot closer to where it's needed, meaning in a high data intensive processing environment, what you want is there to be less latency, so there's faster response times to your computing. And of course, you want to improve the speed at which you can process that data. And what you tend to find in today's environments that are so data heavy on processing, because it's either multi-device, multi-channel, and there's a ton of processing that's happening in the background, is that you want your business to be able to process that data a lot faster and a lot closer to where it's needed, so that it has other ancillary effects as well, which we'll touch on in a moment. South African businesses need this to operate faster, to make decisions faster, as well as to drive real-time analytics. And this is what makes the difference between an average experience to an enhanced experience where we know it's Aki that we are talking to. Aki is looking at a page and wanting to shop for a particular product. And oh, by the way, we've got recommendations that are relevant to Aki, depending on what it is that he might be looking for. And that, for us, we find, and our customers, can make the difference between an average shopping experience and a solution product platform to one that really sticks out to customers and drives loyalty and stickiness. Now, edge computing also helps in managing large volumes of data that are generated through customer interactions on multiple channels, as well as on IoT devices. So we're seeing IoT devices play a more significant role in terms of us understanding and being connected to our environment, not only in homes, but it's also important for retail stores. And if you're able to make sure that critical data is processed locally, reducing the dependency on centralized data centers, the good old SEM command, fetch data, come back and obviously show up on what it is that you're asking, then that means you can have faster processing, but also improve data security. So this technology not only boosts business performance, customer experience, but it also enhances the shopping experience for customers. And of course, it enables quicker and more reliable services. What's more, as they say in the classics, a correctly architected edge computing environment will certainly help you optimize the costs that you're using on IT, because the dependency on storage infrastructure and on connectivity to storage infrastructure is reduced because you're computing exactly where the computing power is needed. And that's where Altron can help customers to begin to realize value in how it is that they architect the IT infrastructure, as well as the retail technology infrastructure at large for South African businesses.
Okay, well, listen, that's a great explanation of edge computing, and it makes complete sense what you say. You know, you've got that power, and it's at the edge, so you don't have to go through a data center. So that processing takes place. Then we know that speed is everything today. I was interested to read in the report that it also highlighted that AI and machine learning are being used by businesses to really optimize their stock replenishment. And we know how important that is, because if you get that wrong and that process wrong, it can cause all sorts of issues. It also helps reduce food waste. And this has been done by, predicting sales patterns. And I'm sure there's lots of predictive analytics that goes in with that. How does all of this work? Because it's quite fascinating.
Yeah, yeah. So the challenge and the fun part of IT is how do you, and I find this with my sons. How do you explain concepts that are quite complex to children so they can understand them? And if you think about it as being, Aki, you have to manage your shopping list for your home, which is now your stocking and forecasting of what are your family going to eat, what are they going to use, when are they going to use it, and what might go to waste or not. AI in this instance would work very similarly, except it's using a technology architecture that has learning algorithms that help analyze historical data. And of course, the data sets are becoming more and more complex. They're including seasonal trends and other external factors, even such as weather. So, surprisingly, you might see a lot more promotions in colder weather for soups and warming up foods and winter foods than you might do in summer. And all of these are kind of processed through learning models that have been crafted over time that are very attuned to what it is that's the local market, local conditions, as well as competitive sets to predict future sales patterns. Now, when is this important? Less so important in grocery and long life foods, but as the proposition of fresh is growing in our country, freshly baked, freshly made fruit and veg, the perishable section of retailing, which can be costly if you're not managing correctly, benefits from being able to use modeling in this particular sense and optimizing your inventory levels, having and making sure that you've got the right stock in the right place at the right time for customers. What's more, it does mean Aki and his family can have what they need when Aki is going into the shops to be able to stock up. How we see this reducing the likelihood of overstocking is because then you're matching supply versus demand within the store. And of course, if there are alternative uses of potential offerings in store, then you also minimize food waste in that way. The critical thing is the impact on supply chain efficiency and what that means commercially for a business, because it means that you're not delivering the wrong stock to the wrong place, for example, and incurring stock. You're not overstocking or understocking. And of course, for South African retailers, this means that they can be more efficient through their operations and less waste. For South African consumers and society at large, it does mean that it leads to cost savings because the costs of running a retail operation are quite often passed on to a consumer. But if the operation is efficient, that means South Africans can benefit from reduced price increases and more sustainable practice that benefits society as a whole. And that talks to what Altron is about, Aki. We don't only view technology as enabling great experiences or enabling particular transactions in store and use of data, but it's how do we as a business make an impact in South Africa, which is part of living our purpose.
Amazing stuff. And of course, all of that translates into profits and efficiencies and, be optimizing your operation. So at the end of the day, it benefits A, the customer, and B, the business. So it's a win-win. So it's brilliant that you're using data and analytics and AI to build these massive data sets that are now starting to predict things, and really help businesses, long term and achieve better results. Now, there were some other interesting key findings from the guide that you're speaking about. Can you highlight that for us? What else came up that really was fascinating for you?
So one of the big themes that we pick up, Aki, is the shift of technology being an enabler for doing business to being a growth driver. And as I talk through this example, I just want you to think about my most successful retail brand in South Africa and what they've managed to do through their platforms. And of course, it's the brand that is now flying a plane with their logo on it, which is a turquoise blue color, and with the offering on check the 6060. So the guide highlights the growing importance of personalized customer experiences driven by the smart use of data, machine learning models, and artificial intelligence. When retailers can leverage this, then they are able to offer tailored recommendations to customers, not only in terms of products and solutions they might want, but also value offers in real time. And what do I mean by that? Go back a few years and you would have a loyalty card that accumulates loyalty points over time. You don't see that value until such time as you are cashing out on the loyalty, or there's a particular offer or promotion that you can then tap into. But in today's world, what you're seeing is that value being brought really close to the point of transacting at every single transaction, irrespective of channel that a customer uses. And so what you see is often, kind of tailored recommendations that are offered to customers, whether they come in the example of people that bought what you bought, also bought this, or, we've got some interesting pieces of work with our health tech business, where we are basically looking at how can we start to combine data sets to give insight into, in a particular location, these are the health issues that might exist. And so in doing so, you're able to offer targeted promotion around nutrition and lifestyle orientation that assists those particular people. And then, of course, family needs and needs baskets. We know that Mr. X has a family. He's got 2 kids because, oh, by the way, he was buying uniform. This is what would make sense as a lunchbox offer through a particular time for his family. And so those are just some examples of how we use technology to drive satisfaction, loyalty, but also upweighting the basket purchase and the frequency of purchase through multiple channels for customers. Now, the adoption of self-service technologies is also another dominant theme that is picking up in South Africa. And if you think about it, using an app on a phone is a form of self-service. In the comforts of your lounge, this is now becoming a digital store where you're able to make purchases. Now, the gap between digital and physical is closing. And we see this in some illustrations in the fashion and retail, where you are able to buy online, pick up in store with regards to clothing items, both when you are buying as well as returning clothing. And so self-service will continue to grow, enabled, of course, by RFID technologies in the value chain and in stores. And why is this important for the South African society and consumer? Well, the service experience becomes a lot easier. Once I know what I want, I can quickly check it out and be able to be on my way. But also, more importantly, it does create new angles of sustainability for retailers, meaning the cost to operate a retail store is reduced. But in addition, the people who are experts in selling the goods at this particular store can then begin to engage with customers in a more meaningful way, helping them find solutions that they're looking for. Now, we think this trend will continue over time because the improvement of efficiency in retail operations and the enhancement of overall shopping experiences is going to be critical in how retailers realize technology for growth versus just enablement.
That is absolutely fascinating stuff. I mean, if you've got rich data insights and you start linking and joining the dots, it's amazing what insights you can get for a business. Now, with the
Absolutely.
insights from this report that you've spoken to about, I mean, these insights in this report are absolutely fascinating. How does Altron Digital Business help South African businesses take advantage of these trends? As a business watching this, how can I reach out to you guys to say, listen, how do I take my business to the next level?
Interesting you asked the question. We spent the past 6 months building out and developing what an Altron value proposition looks like. And if I were to simplify it, anything below the router is what Altron can help your business with, whether it be solutions in the cloud, data architecture, data strategies, edge computing, network infrastructure for fast computing, right down to the traditional POS lane and store technology and mobile handhelds are elements that we are expert in. It's just that previous to this year, these have sat in different businesses and we were South Africa's best kept secret. So what we're able to do is architect a growth solution around technology for our retailers. And of course, it will include these different areas of expertise that are spoken about, including software engineering, which we currently have probably got one of the largest deployments in the telecommunications space, supporting a large telecommunication brand in South Africa for software engineering, and obviously built-in data capabilities. So beyond edge computing, beyond demand forecasting, inventory management for retail, the retail business and retail business solutions area that I look after is launching a product called Retail Store as a Service. And what that means is Aki has 100 stores around the country, and Aki is a retailer. He's not a IT technician or technology company. And so we would basically run the end to end of his IT technology estate, including things like the latest hardware, subscription-based technology service model that has the latest hardware upgrades, comprehensive lifecycle management, including responsible disposal. And of course, that will help you reduce your capital expenditure, what you're carrying in your P&L and your balance sheet, as well as, of course, then you have predictable cost management as you run your store. You leave the retailing to you, you leave the IT management to us. We also have enhanced our what used to be a field service capability. So a man in a van that would come to your shop and fix your tool, fix your computer, to enhancing it to make it a lot smarter. What do we mean by that? It means through the vast data that we have around the service issues experienced by our customers, we are able to build predictive models that will give us a view around a particular model type of a particular lifetime or lifetime warranty, or sorry, let me correct that. A particular model type that has particular usage is likely to fail at this particular time. And so it informs our parts holding, it informs our field service engineer preparation and location, as well as an anticipation of when you might see volumes of service calls go up. This allows us to be a lot more cost efficient in delivering support services to you. And of course, once you start to bundle field services with network management and infrastructure management, as well as data management and software management as a service, you begin to get real bang for buck by going with Altron around delivering and supporting a growth strategy. Lastly, we have built what is a new retail software factory that will have as its focus, kind of using software engineering center of excellence capabilities that we have to deliver everything software related that is important for retail. Now, this does mean that we will be delivering POS solutions, and we do that currently for customers in South Africa, as well as partnering with global tier one partners that are running large software installations for customers. And we believe this is necessary because the South African retail market needs a partner that can be agile in how it is that we deliver services, but also give them the ability to build custom solutions where some customers cannot afford tier one global partners, which can be quite costly. Why are we doing all of this, Aki? By implementing these solutions for our customers, we believe we can help South African retailers enhance their operational efficiency, reduce their costs, so thereby making sure that their retail offers are affordable to South Africans, and of course, improve customer satisfaction. Indirectly, this benefits our own country's citizens by providing them with better shopping experiences, more reliable services in retail, as well as contributing to the overall growth and sustainability of the retail sector, which, as we know in South Africa, is one of the top 5 employment sectors, which is important for our country.
Very interesting. So when you look at all of this, and you've obviously got your finger on the pulse in terms of what's happening out there technology-wise, and we've highlighted some of those trends, are there any emerging technologies that you believe will be particularly important for successful South African retailers in 2025 and beyond, perhaps?
Yeah, no, absolutely, Aki. If you look at the maturity model of European markets, American markets, Asia, kind of Asian markets as well as African markets between South Africa and call it Sub-Saharan Africa and North Africa, you'll see stark differences in the maturity of how retailers are using technology. So, for example, in Europe, you've got a very mature installation of self-checkout and self-service. In America, delivery and kind of app use is quite dominant and prominent. At a recent tech show in Dubai, we experienced what is kind of happening around the world around enhancing retail offers and the role technology plays in supporting a lot of these journeys. So, I feel that there will be a strong push towards how it is that we use these technologies to drive growth in the retail sector. Again, focused around customer, focused around efficiencies and operations, and then of course convenience being a big one. So, while our delivery model, which is largely scooter based in this geography, is maturing, I think you're going to see a lot more uptake of that and a lot more efficiency driving it. The other elements you're going to see is AI, a lot more AI driven personalization. And by this, we are going to see ecosystems merge, where all of Aki's ecosystem area and where he participates are now going to be aided by AI to begin to create a picture that retailers can tap into. And so, as you might have seen, you've got the chat GPT is now starting to play in particular spaces in the Microsoft world, as an example. And so, how do those two start to work together, and how do they create opportunities for retailers to tap into how it is that they respond to customer wants, which is important. Retailers are also going to start focusing a lot more on building strong data analytics capabilities. Data will become power. And of course, we are seeing this in retailers investing in capability to not only know how to drive data engineering skills and analytics, but also the data monetization aspects that are now a leapfrog from the good old days of having a loyalty card and loyalty purchasing. Now closing the circle around the monetization. That I think will be a good revenue generator for retailers. And of course, being able to bring those data sources across disparate systems, including legacy, is going to be something that is a bit of a challenge, but we are poised very well to begin to help retailers bring those worlds together cost effectively. And then, of course, decision making will be driven a lot more by data. And you're going to see leadership teams making strategic decisions around investment, store locations, ranging, strategic modeling, largely driven by the sources of data that they have. And that data will not just relate to retailing, but will span a broader engaging scope. So I gave the example earlier of the use of health tech data and behavioral data to determine how it is that we drive ranging. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that, but with specific use cases in the value chain for retail. I also think you're going to see long-term success being contributed to the use of technology and investment in technology versus investment in say infrastructure in South Africa. As you've seen some retailers becoming a lot more cost effective, reducing footprint of warehouses, but making bigger investments in technology. I think that switch towards growth is going to continue driving. But by doing so, I do believe that South African retailers can ensure long-term success. And of course, the contribution to overall development of the South African retail sector, which will benefit not only their business, but also South African consumers, and of course, the growth partners that they choose. And so we position ourselves as a growth partner for South African retailers because there's very little that we can't do. And of course, we've got over 58 years of doing that quite successfully. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What an incredible history. And of course, you're quite right. Altron been around for many decades and understanding about technology and what technology is capable of doing. Bonga, what is the single most important thing retailers can do to thrive in 2025 and beyond? I imagine that you've got to embrace what we're talking about without, even thinking about it, because that's where the future is. What are your thoughts around this topic?
So I have a different take around what is the single most important thing they can do. The world of technology is becoming complex, and we have seen retailers in very disparate fashion make investments in disparate areas without a considered holistic approach. And I believe the only way to get a holistic approach is to begin with a view of what is the end state that you want to get to. And then, of course, the most important decision you can make is the right growth partner. The right partner with the right capabilities, experience in these disciplines, as we call them, on anything from data to software, and how those come together cost effectively. Because the cost of doing it in a disparate manner does mean that at some point you're going to have conflict, and at some point you're going to have what we call sunk cost risk. And of course, you might miss your objective. So I would caution retailers that are looking at a digital transformation journey to begin to paint a picture of what does this mean for their customer, what does this mean for their business, what does this mean for their operating context, And then, of course, begin to say who's got the right experience to help us craft and manage this journey and build it out. Because the cost of not doing so does mean you might make misinformed investments, and of course, then realize an extended period of trying to realize your outcomes. If we put customers at the core and we look at all of the drivers of operational efficiency and customer experience and staying competitive in the market, then I do think we've got enough good working examples and illustrations and lessons to pull from. But of course, you've got a partner like Altron who can certainly pull their global experience of what it is that we have done for retailers and other industries, as well as that of our partners. We have tier one partners that help us, and it could be anything from enterprise applications to cloud installations across hyperscalers, as well as right down to edge computing hardware through some of the big name brands that can support this journey. So the single most important thing, choose the right growth partner and paint a picture that is holistically considered on your digital transformation journey.
Great advice. And what a fantastic discussion and what incredible insights you've shared with us. Bonga, thank you very much. Bonga Gumede, Executive for Retail GTM at Altron Digital Business. Thank you so much for those insights. Certainly left me feeling quite inspired. And, that's the way of the future. Incredible stuff. Thank you very much for your time, Bonga.
Aki, thank you very much. And thank you to your listeners for listening to the podcast. And I look forward to chatting to you again as we progress our journey. Thank you.